Hello, everyone. Welcome to another theme workshop where we all come, hang out, learn some theme-related items, and you can come and ask your theme-related questions, and we can just have a nice Friday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well today. It's been another awesome week. Hopefully you had a good week as well, and we're so close to that weekend. All right. My name's Brian. I am the product manager of LaunchBox, and hopefully we can have a good stream. So yeah, how's everybody doing in the chat there? Dr. Suicide, welcome in. Hope you're having a good day. And yeah, last week we had a fun time recreating the Android interface in Big Box. And I do have that up on the forums. And if you check the previous video, there is a link to it. Can't remember what I called it now. I just had it in my head. And something about has some sort of name, droid, in it. But yeah, check it out. The theme creator files are there. And you can play around with it any way that you like. This week, and last week, what was kind of surprising was Harry came in and Dave was in there and in the stream. And I'd mentioned I wanted to do a retro themed magazine kind of interface for Big Box. And Dave had this bright idea to say, why don't you put a video, like one of those nostalgic 90s videos of like a magazine flip opening and like turning the page, and it would just be like silly and fun. And asked Harry to do it, and then after the stream, Harry came back and gave us a look at something that he could do. How he could give me this magazine look and have it flip open and stuff, and then give me the files, and I can build a theme off of that. And so yeah, it was really cool to see it kind of come together. I haven't received all the files, so I can't do it this week, but I was super excited to try to see what we can do and have like a really cool retro magazine theme in Big Box. But for this week, and hey P. Davis, glad you're doing great. I'm hoping I had a stream, it's probably been over a month now, where I need to convert the CoverBox theme into this community theme creator, because I have at least 4 new views sitting in here that I can't merge with my current version, and I would really love to have the CoverBox theme converted into the theme creator, so I can release it for everybody so they can edit files and add their own CoverBox stuff in there. And just like it's easier to manage when everything's in here. And you can update it much better and get, every time you publish with new versions of the theme creator, you're actually gaining any fixes that Dave put into the theme creator behind the scenes. And so just by the act of people being able to publish, they'll be able to upgrade their own themes whenever they want. So the problem is that the CoverBox theme is about 40 different views that I have to recreate. So I think I recreated 2 last time in the stream. It was this NES one and the Super Nintendo one. So I thought, why not move over and get as many of the Nintendo handheld ones in there. And Riaz Ali, you're struggling to get the Vectrix emulator working within LaunchBox. Okay. I'm trying to remember, because I did get that working in my setup. However, I feel like I just use RetroArch. And I had the files. I was pretty sure it was just download the core and then import the ROMs, and then RetroArch took care of the rest, sort of thing. Never heard of Para JVE, but it was something like that. Griffith, thanks for stopping in. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, and they're actually, like, I'm imagining how old the Vectrix really is. Surprisingly how well those vector graphics stand up to today. They definitely look really good. And though I never had one, I feel like if I did have one when I was a kid, I would have loved that system. Dr. Suicide, you're up to 62 platforms? Isn't that crazy when you have to do it per platform? Wouldn't it be easier if we could just do it all within one view? But yeah, I mean, once I get it up and running into the community theme creator, it'll be so much easier, right? To add new themes and just do some crazy stuff. So I thought, hey, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, let's see if I can get those done. And then I will keep going and move on. And I mean, I've got a lot of the code there. I'm going to have to change up a bunch of stuff to make it work with the community theme creator, but we'll see how it goes. So yeah, let's jump in. And if anybody has any questions, that's what this theme stream is about. Let me know if you have any questions about any of the themes that you're doing, and then I'll see if I can answer it. Sometimes things can be a little tricky and not as straightforward as you think it would be. And I can definitely help out there. So let's go to the original, the OG Game Boy. And then, of course, down here, you can see all of the systems that I personally have in the big box or in the LaunchBox library that I'm pointing this version of the community theme creator to. And we should have nothing within this text games view for this system. Yeah. So let's jump in. Okay, so for this one, I at least did some prep work. I didn't do that for the other ones. Kind of wish I did at this point. But let's maybe do a background group here. And we're going to add an image, and that image will be the background. Not quite the background, isn't it? Let's call it the overlay. And the way that I normally did, for a long time, I was doing the CoverBox themes in the exact same way. And I was just creating an overlay, because it's a lot easier to do it this way, where I would position the video behind it. And then really the hardest part of the CoverBox themes is because I really wanted it to be performant and to be different. I wanted to do all text view, all text lists, none of the clear logos, because it just suited this sort of theme better, and it's actually much more performant to use that. But I wanted to do something clever every single view with that text list. And so you'll see, especially with this Game Boy one, something that I don't think I've ever shown before, but it will be something in code. So we'll get to that. So full screen. Yeah, it's all the text lists that still has a lot of potential within those text lists that I don't think a lot of people have really tapped into. Sorry, this is going to be a static image. Look at all this stuff. See, I already transitioned my Game Boy stuff here. There you go. Look at that. Nice giant box. It comes with basically everything that you would need. And then I put this sort of overlay grid that reminds me of the original, which means I can simply just create a selected item video, stick that back here, take advantage of this. All right, we'll bring this over here. Oh, where's that? And yeah, we're getting there. Look at that. Let's save that out and look at some games that are a little better here. What was your favorite Game Boy game experience that you had, if you had one growing up? I specifically remember playing a lot of multiplayer Tetris. That was definitely a thing. And then I remember distinctly playing a lot of Metroid 2 of all games. And what's funny is that was the first ever Metroid game I had ever played. Henry, Ernesto, and CB, do you remember playing Zelda Link's Awakening? I remember playing that as well, and remember playing the Game Boy Color version of it came out, and I played that, and then I bought the other Zelda games on the systems, Oracle of Ages. It's like I remember loving Metroid 2, and I remember never being able to get close to beating it, or having any idea how to as a kid. It was just like, just go anywhere that you want, and then I was getting upgrades here and there, and I don't know, I just wasn't smart enough, I guess. It just kept going. Okay, so let's do some of the overlay elements. And so we do have a bunch, and if I remember correctly, well, maybe I should take a look at what the theme actually looked like. However, I'm pretty sure I had a clear logo on this side here. Something like that. I definitely want it to be top left-hand side corner. Let's switch it to the clear logo so I can see what it looks like. This logo is really cool. There you go. Always love that logo for some reason. Oh yeah, the Mario games. I love those two Mario games. And then I wanted more so badly, so I got the Wario Mario game. And I remember liking that game growing up, so that I started getting all of the Wario games after that. Especially that first Mario game. Yeah, I played the heck out of that. And then played the heck out of the second one. And Henry, you've played Final Fantasy Legends 3 and you beat it without knowing English. you just kept trucking on forward, huh? Didn't matter what the characters were saying. Alright, there's a couple more elements I definitely need to have here. Let's see, maybe I'll do it by width, but I believe the top here is the play mode, or in this case I'm going to switch it to maximum players, because that's basically what it is. I'll have it point to my Game Boy there, and it should be the two logos that I have, either the original game pack or the one with the link, which will designate 2 players. And Sean, how are you doing? This is your first time catching the live stream. Oh, well, you love watching them. It's great to see you catch one. If you have any questions, now's the time. Sean Davies, what theme do you use in LaunchBox? Is it LaunchBox Galaxy? I have used LaunchBox Galaxy. It's a great theme after you do its configuration, which Raviol has graciously supplied on his download page. But I've been building my own LaunchBox theme, and will have it released sometime in this month, I would say. So if you haven't looked at the beta, we released a beta earlier this week where it has a new filter button option, and I had added it to my theme. So this is my theme. I haven't really given it a name yet, so I kind of just called it after my alias, so just called the Farron. And so this button right here, this new filter button, so I added it here in my theme, and all themes will have to be updated to support this button. And you'll see here that you can, it's basically like a live filter. So I'm currently in Nintendo 64, so it's filtering for Nintendo 64 games, and I can say, okay, well, what games support 4 players? And wow, a lot of games support 4 players. You can see 140, almost half of them supported 4 players. And then I can say, okay, that's great. Now, you know, save to new playlist, and, you know, 4-player, you know, N64 games or whatever you want to call it. And now you'll have like a playlist for those games. Or you can add it, you can add as many filters as you want and are your favorites. So my favorites that are also 4 players. So yeah, it's cool, neat little feature. It's available in the beta right now if you want to check it out. But this button will only work if you're on the new version. Yeah, so this theme does have a number of things that I can't wait to show everybody once it's out. I'll go more in depth once it's out. So if people wanted to download it and follow along in the code, like I had to sit there and learn as much as I can, because I basically started with not knowing really how LaunchBox themes were created, and I was trying to learn it for all of you guys so I can tell you. One of the main changes that I did, other than the visual changes that you can see, was add this sort of tab section here. And so this tab section will be like info, images will be in a separate tab. There'll also be, I don't know if I can catch it, but anything that has retro achievements, there'll be a retro achievement tab that pops up. I don't know if I have retro achievements working in this build. It doesn't look like I do. Anything with MAME high scores will have its own tab. So you can see here, and you'll see it just like it'll appear, and then you can click it, and there's all the MAME high scores. And hey, if anybody wants to try to beat, wow, that's a really high score. Everyone wants to be second place here this week on 19x. At the moment, this will not replace default. This will just be another option for anybody that wants it. So it will be available on the forums. I did try to do a few other things. The highlight is a bit different, and you can see when you highlight, you can see the name of the game, and when you click, the name appears there. Some of the buttons will only appear if it's context appropriate. Like, there are buttons that are hidden until they actually are working. You can see here there's no music section next to this volume control, and that's because, you know, there's no music for this game. But as soon as you go to a game where there is music, that music button, the buttons will pop up. So stuff like that, I tried to kind of smooth out a little bit. You can see here the video sort of will play here. I have my videos not playing by default, which of course is an option right here. Autoplay music, autoplay videos. So I uncheck those so that I have the choice to play them. And then you can just click there, and there's the video, and the video will scale appropriately as you open up, but then we'll get to a specific size and stop becoming bigger so it doesn't take over your whole screen. But it will go smaller. Same with the background. The background will scale smaller, but then will get bigger as you open up. So this was just my theme that I created to learn how to theme, if that makes sense. Anyway, I'll go into more details for you guys later. But yeah, can't wait to show it to you guys. It would be broken if you were on the release right now, just because of this button that I added. You know, tried to make things a little round. You know, got the round stuff going. There's a lot of small tweaks that I went through to make it work properly, and of course, you're seeing this on a big screen. So this is not a big screen. This is a 2K screen. Anybody that has a 1080p, this should still work good on that screen, and it should scale appropriately and not overwhelm you with stuff, like especially in the sidebar. And hello from Greece. Hey, welcome to the stream. Glad you can make it. Anyway, back to the Game Boy. Let's take a look. Maybe we'll do something like this, and what you can do here, let's bring this back in, is so if this is sort of the max players image, is I can just say, you know, my height, just auto size the height, you know, make it so it's the width that will matter the most. And I can say, okay, oop, my numlock not on, 170. There you go, and just sort of keep it like that. Let's bring that up to 1675, okay. And the reason I'm doing that so specifically is because I want to make a copy of this and then paste that. And then I want to place this in the same spot, but down below here. And of course, I could probably do this with a stack or something like that, but you know, this is not too complicated. And what this will be, I can just simply change this to the ESRB rating, which exists in a folder called ESRB. There we go. There we go. Perfect. So it's perfectly lining up, and I'll just roughly eyeball the position, the vertical position here. And I'll make this probably a bit smaller. It's better. How's that? So far, so good. Let's just take a look at how that looks. I think we're doing all right. Okay, so now that we have these 4 elements or 3 elements on the screen as the overlay contextual items, now we've got to look at a couple more pieces. So I believe I have a community star rating up here, and I have some text down there that I'll have to see what I exactly did. And then, of course, the final piece, which will be the actual text list, which hopefully will have something cool in there to do. So let's do that. Let's create a new group, and we'll call this sort of the information group. We'll create the community star ratings. I'll just call it the star rating. And it will use metadata that will pull from the community star rating or your user rating. I think it'll use your user rating first and then fall back to the star rating, or the community star rating if you don't have your own rating. Okay, so now I've got all these star ratings with different colors. I don't think I actually need all of those, so I might convert them And the reason I don't need them is because I have the ability to just use one of these and then color them to anything that I want. And so I have these checkered ones that I will need to use. You can see it's kind of crazy. I'm going to see what happens if I use these ones and then use this color tint. And if I have to remember what the color was, let's see what the easiest way to do that would be. I probably have a... Actually, you know what I could do? That'd be a lot easier than this. I'm pretty sure I use the color of the default, which is just like that old yellow style. Yeah. And I've got a color picker here that'll tell me the exact color. And now I can color this, that exact color. And then I'll go down here and say, okay, the opacity mask, just use this same image that you're using here. And yeah, there you go. Okay. Now, perfect. Actually worked out great. Okay, so I might end up doing that. And then I don't have to have like 8 different stars. I can just have one and then color it. Okay, so again, the width won't matter for me. It's really the height. So I'll sort of roughly place it in the center up top here. And now this is where I'm going to have to remember exactly what I did when I don't remember. Let's go take a look at the theme. In fact, I might not even have an image of the theme that's recent. When was the last time I edited this theme? Seems like it was a long time ago, yeah. Over a year. Okay, let's take a look. Yeah, CBC, you had the Game Boy Pocket. I think that was one of the ones I never had. So I don't remember the whole clear backlit experience. That was not my experience. And I do remember the ugly green. That's the nostalgic color for me. Which is the one that I jump to when there's a really cool shader that'll do that for me in RetroArch. Okay. Actually, I might have replaced the Game Boy. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, so here it is. So there is a border with some information. Not too bad. Developed by Nintendo, so I got the developer. And then I have 1994 Nintendo. I'm assuming that's the publisher. So I managed to fit play mode, developer, and release year, and publisher in here. That's not too bad, considering we've got max player, ESRB, and the community star rating already. Okay. I will have to go and figure out what I did here for fonts. And I feel like I know what the font is here. I can do a stack, I'm assuming, with some docks and a border. So let's just roughly do that right now. How would that look? Well, we'll start with a stack. Stacks things vertical in the community theme creator. Actually, we're not starting with a stack, are we? We're starting with a border. And in this case, they are called frames. So we'll have a frame right here. We'll get rid of the background color. And we are going to do an off-white. And then we will do, I think 5 would be nice. There you go, look at that. Okay, getting there. And then we'll sort of position that in the middle here, giving us a good amount of space without it looking out of place. Okay, frame is in place. Now we've got the stack. Got the stack inside of the frame. The frame... Okay, stack will just take up the entire space. Should be good. Okay, so now we're dealing with... I feel like we got our first spammer there, guys. Let me see what I can do. Never had to deal with this before. At least not on YouTube anyway. All right. Let's get into our video here where I have ability to do stuff. All right, perfect. And now we can just remove these. All right, I think we're okay. Cool. How you doing there, Dave? Glad you can stop in. Okay, so let's go back to what I was doing here. I'm gonna have to have 1 stack, 2 stack, 3 stack. Every single one's gonna be, sorry, a dock. That's right. I don't seem to have the ability to remove him or his previous. Got it hidden and everything. That's odd. All right, all right. So we got stacks and then docks, docks in stacks and stacks in docks. Okay, so the dock's going to need to be auto-sized, and we're going to need the text that states multiplayer action. All right. Let's create a text block. And I'm pretty sure that this text block is, we'll auto-size this, and now we're going to say play mode. I just want the first play mode would be great. And I'm pretty sure I'm using this font, so let's see if that's actually true. Is there a play mode for this game? There is, there it is, okay. Just really tiny. So I'll just do play mode. All right, what size would this be? That looks better. I might even jump that up a little bit. Okay. Okay, so let's try our best to arrange this stack with the items that we want, and then we'll worry about the padding and all that stuff and margins afterwards. So, action. Constant value. Action. And of course, I feel like I had a fallback for play mode. What are you guys doing? Stacks on stacks? 'Cause you're the man, Dave. That's how Zamel rolls. Oh, guys. Who let the docs out? I feel like the Peter Pan theater movie where they tell all the kids to shout to revive Tinkerbell. Come on, spam the chat. Save us from the troll. A single player action. I can't remember what I had as a fallback. I'll think of it later. I probably have it in the code somewhere. All right, let's create the next doc. So I'm just going to copy this doc and paste it so I can keep the styles. Doc number 2 is going to have the developer, I believe. So we're going to just flip these around and we're going to say developed by. Of course, I got to actually put it in here. And we'll change this to the developer. Okay, so far so good. I might end up having to make this smaller anyway. And of course, one other thing that I'm going to have to concern myself with, which I'm already seeing, which is probably going to need to get some view boxes in there. And I think, yeah, I definitely will. All right, let's do the last one though, which I am, of course, forgetting. Okay, so we've got the copyright symbol. And Dave, I'll get to the margins. I'll get to the margins. Just trying to get everything in there here at the moment. There you go. Copyright symbol. I will have to get a release date going, and I will have to copy all of the colors and stuff out of this one. It's just white, and I think it's just 40, so I should be able to do that quite easily. 40, and just the year. And I should auto size the text. Okay, and then the last thing is, instead of play mode, so this would be developer, and this would be developer, or this would be publisher. Okay, So we've got the 3 in there. So now the stack, I can just say, hey, center you guys. I can also put a margin on the stack on this side. So let's just see what I would want. That looks pretty good. And I'll put it on the other side just to have space, just in case it gets too big. And Retro 808, welcome in, welcome in. And Riaz, you said your first Metroid experience was actually Metroid Prime on the GameCube. It's hard to believe it came out nearly 20 years ago. Never had any Nintendo consoles until then. Oh, that's crazy to think that the GameCube was your first console. Yeah, it's been a while though, hasn't it? Yeah, because I remember specifically when the GameCube came out and thinking at first that I didn't really have a reason to get it until the Zelda game came out, and I went, oh man, I should probably get this now. And and I went over to like the local electronics shop and bought like the collector's edition silver GameCube, and that's just the one that I've had. And then got the Zelda game. But yeah, the Metroid Prime, yeah, that was a really good game. A departure from the original that actually worked. And Nally Stubbs, another Friday stream. Yeah, I'm glad you're here as well. It's always good when it's Friday. It's always good when we get to talk about retro games and build themes and talk about how to develop themes. Okay, let's see. Now we just have to do all of the margins between. So 10, I think, is a good one on my system. It's actually a little bit too much, isn't it? How about 8? Yeah, it's better. So we'll do 8 here as well. And then 8 here as well. That was... And Dave, your Switch was your first Nintendo console. Man, Dave, I think you need to go back and start playing some of the Nintendo games that you must have missed. There's definitely some good ones out there. And I feel like almost a little jealous that you have all of those games to look forward to. And C-Beat's GameCube, like my least favorite Zelda game. You know, a lot of people's opinions were like that, wasn't it? That they didn't like the change in the look. They didn't like the cell shading. It was different and new. And so it didn't have the greatest reviews. And that's sort of what attracted me to it. Was that like people weren't liking it for these arbitrary reasons. And I wanted to like actually check it out and see if the game was any good. And yeah, I mean, personally, I love the game. You know what? This actually turned out pretty good. Pretty good. Although I'm thinking that I probably will need a view box for this one, or I'll just have to cut off the name. Maybe I'll just cut off the name a little bit just to get that symmetry that I would like. Just like that, just in case. Every other one should be okay, I think. And Edward, you said your son called the Xbox 360 controller old today. I guess it is old. Yeah, I guess it is old. You're right. but you never thought of. Isn't that crazy how that works in retro? You're saying the same thing. Your 8-year-old said something similar. He saw the 360 controller. Is like, how old is that? Does it look old? Like, does it look old to people that are young? It's like the most modern controller I have. And Nelly, yeah, you sure? Retro games are the best, especially how we can get much easier through emulation and through LaunchBox as a front end. Yeah, I mean, I agree. You might have had 5-6 games growing up. That's what I had growing up, something like that. And so you can actually go back and we used to rent games all the time. That was a huge thing. And so we would have a game for like 3 days. That would be our amount of exposure to it. And now we have the ability to go back and really use the game. And personally, says I also love collecting games, but if you're going to collect a game, like I don't want to use them because I don't want to ever have to risk breaking these games. So, and just with the ease of use, why would I risk that? So I have like my actual collection just stashed away, and of course I'm gonna do emulation to play them. CB's, the solution is obvious. You then use the controller to lay down some whoop arse. Prove that with age comes experience. Yeah, that'll do it. At least Dave doesn't have to worry about buying the same Mario game on every system. Oh man, you're right. At least back in the day, when you think about what Nintendo did and released the same game, they brought the game out and added something to it. Like if you go look at your Nintendo Game Boy Advance systems, and that they came out with like the same game, or the Super Nintendo or something, and you got Mario All-Stars. Now, I had back in the day, and I don't remember if anybody else had this experience. Mario All-Stars was like the game that you got through some like mail thing. I was probably too young to remember. Like they're like, oh, you want Super Mario All-Stars, just like mail us and we'll send you a copy. Like I don't know. But like those games, even though they were like the same game, they redid Super Mario All-Stars, a complete redo of all 3 Mario games, and you've got a remake of Super Mario World on this Game Boy Advance. The same thing with the DS. You got a remake of the Super Mario 64, and then they kind of got lazy. The WiiWare came out, and then the Virtual Console, and there's like, why don't we just re-release the exact same game and not have to put any effort into it? And so after a while, they're just like repackaging the same game, not really doing much to improve them, and then saying, here's the same game now. And Sylvester Sims, your first ever console was the Atari 2600. I feel like a lot of people had that same experience. I was probably a little bit too young, but we did have access to one, I think at our grandparents' house. So I used to play that all the time. And it was fun. I had access to, like, one of my first computers was the Apple II. And had a crazy amount of fun on that. Okay, we're at the point where we have to do this text. And in order to really do this well, what I'm going to have to do is look through the text the code of my theme because it's been a while. Let's take a look. Let's just go straight into the text lists of, look at all this stuff I'm going to have to recreate. Okay. So what did I do? And we'll have to see whether I need to change this or not, but I'm pretty sure I can grab most of this. And then you can see that the font is early Game Boy. I wonder if I actually have that font. Oh man, that's going to be a pain. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do is within the wheel, so right here, I'll come down here and I'll have to create a brand new one. And before that, what is the thing I've been doing? So the name and UI. Okay, I'm just going to start calling it something like that. Okay, let's see if I break it. I do, because I probably missed something. Let's look at your preset. Style, style, and style. Okay, what did I miss? What did I miss? Let's take a look. Unless maybe you just change some of these styles. Oh, here, maybe I definitely think it's this, actually. All right, let's do this backwards. Let's take this. We'll place it in here. Okay, and that'll be our starting point. List box item style. So you must have changed that, right? Okay, so the things that I know are going to be different is this. Yeah, okay. Where is this? There we go. I'm going to need an effect. So the drop shadow is going to be on every single one of these. Well, at least this works, which is good. And I needed to bring in these style properties anyway. And then I will bring in everything inside of this border, or from this border, I should say, down to the bottom of these triggers. Let's say control template trigger. Okay. And now, so the real confusing part is, and I'll just go over this quickly if you never watched the previous time I looked over this. This is essentially saying, and I can break it down like this a bit better. So there's the border, there's the end of the border. Okay, essentially saying, here's your template. Everything in here is going to take on this layout. And you're saying everything in the list box is going to be here. In this case, we're saying, okay, well, put a border in it around each item, and then each item is representative of this content presenter. having all of these, like the content string, basically everything inside of your list. And that's it. That's your whole list. And then below it's like, okay, but if you mouse over it, do this, like color the background and the border brush this color. If the selection isn't active, but it is selected, then, and this is the fun part, I actually put an animation in here. Well, let's take a look at what that looks like. You can see here that's flashing the item, and of course, let's see if I can make it look similar to what I had over here. So let me copy over some of the stylings. So I had this foreground color. So I'm going to add, and I can do this sort of here. Wheel. So the color, I had this color, which is like that nice ugly green that we love. And I put a font size of 22. That will probably not be the same here. And of course, there's a font called Early Game Boy. And if I don't have that, I'll just quickly go find it. Early. Oh no, I got it. All right, there we go. And now we're going to make this a little bigger. Is that too small? It is too small. Okay, so I'm going to make this a little bigger. All right, one more. Should get rid of that one. There we go. Okay, so there's a middle and we're good. We will make it so that there is a trimming at the end there. So you'll see those. That looks good. And I do believe that this whole thing is faded out just a tad. So we'll fade it out, make it look like it's part of the background there. Now thinking about it, I don't think I should do it this way. What I could do is jump back into this. Wasn't Wario Land great, right? You know, the one that I really loved, and maybe because it's one of the most rare ones, was the Wario Land on Virtual Boy. If you haven't tried that game, that's quite the experience. And if you have a VR headset, you can get a Virtual Boy emulator, get that game in there, and then play it in sort of like its original 3D that it was intended. And it's actually really cool. It's one of those experiences that if you've never had a Virtual Boy and you always wondered, like, was it really 3D? Yeah, it looked really 3D because of the way that the mirrors and the eyes sort of slightly, like, it was basically the technology. Each eye had its own signal, had its own its own signal, and was slightly off-centered of each other so that they can position items that looked actually in a 3D space. And so in a virtual reality headset, so I've got the Oculus Quest 2, there is a Virtual Boy emulator that you can get that like simulates that like amazingly, and you can make the image so much bigger than it was in the Virtual Boy. And really the only issue was that it was all red, right? Right, CB? It was all red, just like the Game Boy was all either green or whatever, like bright white with gray, shades of gray. And that's why with Virtual Boy there was like that 15-minute turn on the 15-minute timer. After 15 minutes you can take a break. All right, let's take a look at how I'm going to do this. So basically what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to create, and I don't know if I need to add it here, like an opacity 1.0, which does equal 100%. And here I'm going to say, hey, if you, I don't really want to change the mouse over. Actually, I might do this. So here, make it 80%, mouse over, make it property opacity value of 90%. And then if it's actually selected, make it 100%. But you know what? I'm just going to have to say make it flashing. So the way that this storyboard works is that I basically start multi-trigger action, begin the storyboard. You can call it whatever you want. Storyboard, I'm repeating the behavior forever, and then do an animation where every 0.1 second trigger a storyboard where the opacity goes to 80 from wherever it was, and then reverse. I don't know why I'm reverse back. So it's basically going to go from 100% to 80 and then flash really quickly. Kind of means I need this at 1, I know, doesn't it? Unless I say from 1.0 or from 80%. Actually, I can just reverse this, can I? Make it 1.0, but make everything else 0.8. How's that? I mean, that worked. Now I almost wish this was lower, actually, like 0.5, and then it only went up to 0.8. Which means that this can be like 7. It's a bit better. I might just up that a little bit more to 6. Okay, so that's sort of like the one trick, is to have an animation within your wheel itself. And in this case, it's just a quick flash, something that you could kind of see in a Game Boy. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there are 2 more things that I need to do, but nothing too crazy. The first one, and I'm just completely going to take it from, let's say, the Nintendo. Actually, I might not even have it there yet. I'm going to completely take it from the Switch here. And Edward, has anyone seen the custom cabinet art in CoinOps? Some beautiful stuff. The guy doing most of it is dedicated. Over 900 custom cabs. Yeah, I have taken a look at it. It is kind of crazy. I've seen the guy do it in the Discord. He must have a bunch of templates for different styles, and then with full control and easy to change out the colors and stuff. kind of crazy. And so where's the main place to download themes? Is it the LaunchBox forums? So the main place is the manage downloads section inside of Big Box itself. There is a small selection of themes there. And the reason it's a small selection because any theme that goes into that area needs to be vetted by us. And we check for a whole bunch of things just to make sure that the theme, will run well, is performant and all that good stuff, and doesn't have any errors, and a whole bunch of things. And so there's some themes that just weren't able to make it in just because of how they were coded, and they just weren't up to snuff. So if you're just wanting like the blazing edge stuff and a lot more themes, go to the community theme, the community forums. So there must be over 150 over there, and you can download them, add them to Big Box, and sort of your mileage may vary. But you'll get some cool stuff. Okay, first thing that I want to do is I need to take this. This is the overlay, sort of like the finishing touch here. And this basically serves two purposes. I just think it's cool. At the time, I didn't even realize it was possible, and then I'm like, oh, it is possible to have sort of this overlay. And then the second thing is sort of hides the way Big Box loads all the elements in, so that by the time the overlay goes away, this transition goes away, everything should be loaded and basically good to go. And of course, you can always adjust anything about it. It's simply just elements with animation on it with an immediate trigger. Let me just check the colors and stuff that I used for this. Okay, this one didn't have colors, and I just used black, so that's fine. It's one. It's two rectangles, and then one logo. The logo is just static logo that I'm going to point to the Game Boy. There you go. Why is this looking too bright? Because it is too bright. There we go. Okay, so we're good to go there. I uncheck these eye icon, the show element. It's only something that will affect the actual theme editor. It's not actually affecting the code in any way, so it's still there. I just can't see it while I'm editing the theme. And okay, the second thing that I need to do is bring over an animation. I just want the animation to be the same amongst all of my themes. So I'm going to go over to the Super Nintendo where I know that I have the animation. And I might start doing stuff like this maybe, so I don't have to redo it every time. That's odd. What is this one? Oh, I see. Okay, so this clear logo does have an animation. I'm going to copy it. It's essentially just a scaling animation, scale from 0 to 100 with a little bounce back. Very quick, not too noticeable. Oop. We'll jump back to Game Boy. And as far as I'm aware, this is the final piece of the puzzle. I'm going to paste the animation. There we go. And Edward, you've incorporated them into your big box arcade theme using the theme creator. It's very crude, but it looks pretty decent. That's cool. Wouldn't mind seeing that theme. I'm not sure if you shared it before. It's always fun to look at different themes. Okay, look at that. We are done Game Boy. What's next? Game Boy Color? So for Game Boy Color, I do have a bunch of themes or theme files probably hidden here, and I'll need to copy them into my project folders. I'll do theme Nintendo Game Boy Color. Try to get this one done. And for this, let's take a look at what I need. Game Boy Color, so I've got the background and the overlay. Let's see if I have any icons that I need to bring over. Maybe some play mode icons. No, I don't think that there was any. There's the ESRB, and yeah, that should be it actually. The whole theme just has those two. So let's take a look. Man, Grand Theft Auto was on Game Boy Color. When people think Grand Theft Auto, do you think the original Grand Theft Auto, or do you think like Grand Theft Auto 3 or a different Grand Theft Auto, Grand Theft Auto 2? Grandmaster of Win. This is a live stream. That's right. You can ask any question that you want. Let's see what your questions are. Is this a live conversation window? Yes. Is this video happening in real time? Yes. Is it streaming over the World Wide Web? Yes. P. Davis, you think Vice City when you think Grand Theft Auto? Grandmaster, you're thinking Grand Theft Auto 3? And CB, do you think San Andreas when you think Grand Theft Auto? Edward, you think Grand Theft Auto 3? I don't know why. So I was a huge computer buff at that time in the 90s. And I had console systems and everything too, but I don't know. I don't remember the full gist of what my memories. Just that I remember me and my friends, like the original Grand Theft Auto, like blew our minds. That was like, it was this revelation of a game to say like, okay, this is what an open world game could be like. Like, this is crazy that like my little guy can run, take cars, drive around, do missions in this like living world sort of thing. And it was like 30 megabytes, the whole game. That's what I think of when I think of Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, it was the original GTA like DOS game. And we played the heck out of that game. Which is kind of cool. Like that's, I don't know, that's what I remember. That and The Sims. Those were the two like big games around that time. All right, what game are we going to look at? Let's look at some Mario Tennis for a little while. Nani, GTA 1 had cheat codes like suck my rocket. Like, and I don't really remember doing a lot of cheat codes. I mean, we did take turns where we were just trying to like do the most havoc. The Sims, your toaster oven kept catching fire. I just remember trying to build like lots of houses in like the housing layout in The Sims. And doing that a lot. Although I also remember playing Warcraft 2, the original, with my friend over the internet. We lived in the same neighborhood, so he'd go to his house, I'd go to my house, and then we would connect to each other over like IP address and play missions together, and that blew our mind. That like, we're playing together, look at this, we're not even in the same house. Those were the days. Grandmaster of Win every single time. The best streams are nostalgia streams, aren't they? All right, let's take a look at figuring this stuff out. Of course, I'm not in the right spot. Let's go into Game Boy Color. We're going to, look at that, put the background in there, which basically means we need the wheel up here somewhere. And we're going to put the video in the background. There we go. This is the Game Boy Color overlay. We'll grab the corners and we'll just make sure. What's really funny about this Game Boy Color box is that I couldn't actually find one at the time. I don't know if you can these days, but I couldn't find a Game Boy Color box here. So I actually created this from scratch based off of a number of reference images. And yeah, it turned out all right. Good enough that you could get away with what it really looked like. And Edward, you remember every GTA section was going to do missions. 5 minutes later, you're thinking, how much damage can I do? And how long can I run from the police? That's basically it. And Nani, you remember dial-up Duke Nukem 3D over modem? That's crazy. Yeah, I don't think I ever did that, although I played Duke Nukem 3D a lot. I remember that, but it was mostly just like me and my friends just in the same room. Show off, Dave. And Edward, you played a lot of Rainbow Six Online. And you remember room saying cable connection or T1. I played a lot of Quake 2, I remember, like Capture the Flag. That's where I was introduced to Capture the Flag, and a few other games that, God, it's been so long that I can't remember. Just like, I don't remember why I played it, and I don't even remember if I had any friends that played it. And Don, welcome into the live stream. I'm glad you made it. It's a nice Friday where we're talking about nostalgia and building some CoverBox themes. You know what? I'm going to do this a little bit differently. And the reason is because, I don't know why I didn't think of this. The Game Boy is very similar to the Game Boy Color in layout. I purposefully did that. So why don't I just start there? I'll start at this point with the Game Boy, and you can see how easy it is to copy and paste from one to the other. And now, look at that. Let's start with the Oracle of Ages. All right. Okay, and I'm pretty sure there's a few things that we can get rid of. The first one, of course, I'm going to change this logo. We're going to go to the Game Boy Color logo. Okay, and that's the one that'll pop up and then fade away. There it goes. The second thing I'll do, what's funny is that down here, I think all this stuff will just stay the same. And then these items. Oh, I definitely forgot to put ESRB. Pretty sure this doesn't exist anymore. The clear logo will now go into the center. Probably the top, I'm going to say. And we're going to kind of stretch it out. Actually, that's not a good idea, is it? Put some boundaries. Something like that. Maybe even smaller. There we go. And what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to add something that I did. I have to double check if this is going to work, but I'm going to add a fade. I'm going to go opacity, start time at 8 seconds, and I'm going to fade that out over 1 second to 0. Which means I'm going to need the opacity. And I guess I don't have to do it. No, I do have to do it here. I'm going to need the opacity to come back to 100% right away. All right. That should do it. I think. Oh, and I'm forgetting, maybe I should put a... There it goes. Okay. Of course, I'm forgetting a bunch of stuff. So the overlay image will be the Game Boy Color one. There we go. I'm just going to make sure that the box is actually covering properly. There we go. Mr. Retrolust, welcome on in. CoverBox rules. It is an interesting concept that came together nicely, I must say. And Don, you're saying thanks for the work on the Android theme. Well, you're welcome. Hopefully you get a use out of it. It is quite one of those flexible themes, right? Modular, which is nice that I was able to get that together. And Edward, what are people's go-to themes? Can't decide on just one. I feel different platforms need different look. Arcade consoles and pinball should not look the same. That's a tough question, right? Mr. Retroless, you always use Neon Deluxe Arcade. I assume that you built that for you and your arcade systems. That's a great one. There's so many, right? Like I feel like it depends on the time of year. It depends on my what I feel like that day. I love switching it up, and I love that we have that ability to switch it up. We can switch it up on the fly if you want. You can switch it up per platform. You got a lot of options, and then you can combine parts of themes that you like and put them together. Right? But as far as like building themes, other than the fact and I'm also biased here, but the amount of work that went into Retrotastic was and the fact that at the time I kind of used it as a learning stepping stone of saying like, how much wild crap can I do in a theme? Let's find out. Retrotastic. And so I'm like, okay, can I create characters like per game characters? Can I do that? Oh yeah, I can do that. Here's how I can do that. And all of a sudden, anybody has the ability to add a character on a per game basis and have the character like fly in from the side. And I'm like, can I do per game backgrounds? And I'm like, oh yes, I can do that. And this is how I can do it. And all of a sudden, I created a whole bunch and said, look, here's how you can have a different background on a per game basis. And other people jumped in and created like packs and packs of these backgrounds for Retrotastic to make it look like basically anything you want on a per game basis. And so that was a fun theme. And stuff that I got rid of it because it was kind of like went a little too far, but I had the box fly out of the CRT monitor and then sort of wiggle its way on over to the right side of the screen. I was just trying to figure out how far can I push the animation engine. I had like star rating also pop out of the screen and then make its way to the top. So I was just sort of trying to figure out, what is possible. And then just the amount of work that went into the background. Platform backgrounds was kind of insane. That I think I talked about this in a previous stream. I see some of them being used on random YouTube videos every now and then. And Sylvester, do you all have a theme for future pinball? And of course, you've got all the Jay's Arcade ones. And it depends if you want vertical themes. Jay's Arcade, C-Beats made one. If you just want like a 16:9 theme, you got a lot to choose from. Right? Edward, you use Vikings Colorful for that. Yeah, lots of options. Something that I like to do just to give some depth of field, and I feel like I did this on this one. I'll create an image here over the video, and I actually found, God, I'll see if I actually have it. How is it not here? General. I must have put it in here. Okay. And of course, full screen. Full screen it. It gives it that depth of field where the things on top of it actually stand out a bit more. And it's sort of like a CRT look, which I like. And then you have control over how much do you want it to show. Okay, so I guess I'll do that. And Sylvester, all these themes will work. The real question you have to ask is, do you want to play it in a 9:16 monitor? Like, are you flipping your monitor? Or do you want it 16:9 monitor if you're just using your monitor? Or do you have a monitor that can flip? Some people have monitors that can, rotate. Right, so that's what they mean. There's a couple themes that will only use vertical orientation or portrait orientation. Okay, so I'm basically done because of all the other work that I did, and the only thing left is saying I really don't like the clear logo. I think I want to extend this out another 2 seconds before it fades out, so 10 seconds. And then the last thing, of course, is the wheel. Let's take a look at the wheel and see what we've got to play with. I believe I did something different for this one, tried to make it a little less flashy and show that there is color. I probably based it off of some Game Boy Color game that I found just to give it some sort of authenticity. Let's take a look at what exactly I did. So I'll go to the list view, find Game Boy Color. What did I do? We'll steal that. We'll create a new one, a Nintendo Game Boy Color UI. So starting off there. And let's see what we got. Okay, got two things that we got to do. The first one is we're looking here. We've got the border still. We've got the colors. It looks like I changed the colors a bit. And it looks like I removed the animation. So that's fine. So let's take the control template. Just going to copy the control template. Looks like I dropped the drop shadow. So get rid of that. Control template. And we'll go down to control template. Okay. So far, that did not work, did it? Why is that here? Control template to control template. Ooh. Why is it doing that? Template. Okay, we're deleting that first. Good. That's better. Okay. Okay, cool. So I got the colors in. Now let's worry about what I did with the font. So the font, Disposable Droid. All right, I remember that font. That's a very versatile old retro font that I still have. Yay. All right, there we go. So this probably needs to grow up a little bit. There we go. 2, 4. Okay, Alice in Wonderland. Once we get to that point, we're done. Here we go. Okay, so now we're gonna have to worry about colors. So basically this color here is the only one we have to worry about. And if we check this one, there's the foreground color that I use. So I'm gonna copy it into here. And there you go. So you've got this border on this side, basically telling you which one is selected, plus the change in color to indicate, hey, you're in Game Boy Color. There's color. It's red. And okay, how much did I miss here, guys? Mr. Retroless, developed by Capcom. Oh no, is that a revelation? Yeah. At at this point in the game, Nintendo gave these games over to Capcom in the late 90s and said, hey, develop some like handheld games. And they developed 2 games at the same time, released them. Oracle of Ages, Oracle what were they? Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. And Capcom came back and said, here's 2 games. And they were kind of linked. So you could play one and then the other. I don't think in any particular order. And I was fascinated by that at the time. Bought both of them because I couldn't decide which one to buy. I still have them somewhere. And yeah, they're, because it's Capcom, it's actually ended up being really, really unique experience. And then they never trusted Capcom again. It just basically worked out. But if you actually look at all of the handhelds and you look at who's developed them over the years, it's a little different. They're not so much they don't care so much about their handheld Zeldas for some reason. They keep the console ones close to their chest. That's for sure. Anyway, we're done too. Let's go. I think we have time for one more. Nintendo Game Boy Advance. And of course, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, myself a year and a half ago, what does my Game Boy Advance kind of look like? Is it? Here it is. Okay. I put that there. That's the official seal. That's there, and then this comes back, and then I changed this color, but I never really liked this, so I might change that, and then that up there. Okay, so yeah, basically what I thought is very similar to this one, actually. So let's copy that, and we're gonna paste it here. Use that as our base. That's right. I still have the yellow one downstairs and somewhere in a box, or it might be in a display case, maybe. Which, yeah, could be different for everybody. To me, yellow, Game Boy Color. That's the color of Game Boy Color. Yellow. Even though there was so many colors. Okay, so now Game Boy Advance. Anybody have any experience with the Game Boy Advance? Was that anybody's first system or handheld? Because obviously this wasn't. I've had the Game Boy for over a decade, at this point, and then the Game Boy Advance came out, and we were very excited, saying like, "Oh my God, that's like Super Nintendo graphics in a handheld." Willie, how you doing? Glad you made it. And yeah, I mean, Advance did better than I thought at the time. And much better than I thought at the time. It had so many games. And it's the system that I had the least amount of games and paid the least amount of attention to. But at the time, I mean, look at this. The Minish Cap, I went back and played it. It was one of those ones where I had to. I never played it before, and I'm like, how did I miss this game? Like, they even released the Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, which, you know, loved this game as a kid. Yeah, one of those things where I had to learn it after the fact. And Willie, you're coming back from school. I'm glad you made it to the last half of this stream. Let's convert this to, say, Game Boy Advance. And then if you look, like, the Game Boy Advance was the same era as Game Boy, the GameCube. So they really tried, Nintendo was trying at the time to link them together to make this cohesive gameplay experience. They wanted you to have both, basically. And so I remember when Final Fantasy Chronicles came out? Could be thinking of a different game. The one that they tried to link, like, you could play it, but you had to have a Game Boy Advance. And it was like, I don't know why that game excited me, because I loved Final Fantasy on PlayStation. I'm like, finally, Nintendo's getting another Final Fantasy. And so I remember being hyped for that. Seabeats Advanced Wars, Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced. See, I played that game on the PlayStation. Mario and Luigi Superstars, which, yeah, I completely missed and would have loved. I'm a huge Mario RPG fan. Like, that game, if you haven't played Mario RPG, go play Mario RPG. It still holds up. Quite a few solid Mega Man titles. See, I had no idea. I love Mega Man. The only thing at the time when I was thinking was, I was looked at the Mario catalog in the Game Boy Advance. I'm like, okay, remember at the time, Game Boy had 2 solid Mario games plus the Wario games to extend that. And so I was waiting for the Mario game to come out on the Game Boy Advance. And as we all know, it didn't. I don't understand why they chose that. It's like, let's not release a Mario game on our handheld. Let's just re-release these ones. And Edward, you tried a few, you never finished. Never. I think the first ever Zelda game that I finished was probably A Link to the Past. Well, the first ever Zelda game I played was the first Zelda game. And then, of course, the second Zelda game. They were big deals back in the day. And Willie, you're working on a game, you might be able to get it on LaunchBox. I mean, you're working on a game, you can always go to the, like if you want, I don't know if you're talking about getting it into LaunchBox or getting the artwork into the game's database. Both of them are possible. Note, Edward, if like everybody that's played and beat Zelda games, if you had to recommend one, the first one that somebody should play to the end, which one would you recommend to Edward? And Mr. Retrolust, you never played a Metroid or a Mega Man game? That is the same question. If you had to recommend a Mega Man game, first Mega Man game, which one would you recommend to Mr. Retrolust? Well, it looks like, Edward, you're going to have to go to the Super Nintendo and play A Link to the Past and find out why that game was sort of revolutionary at the time. With the two worlds and it's kind of crazy. I would agree. Super Nintendo. And for Mega Man, it's a toss-up. I would have you probably start with Mega Man 2, because it's of its simplicity. The music was like the best and most iconic of the bunch. The mechanics are in its sort of like simplistic form, but still like very satisfying. The bosses are satisfying. The order is exciting on how to, like, which bosses do you take out first. And then if you like that, you could jump to the other ones. There was 6 of them on Nintendo. But if you wanted a different experience, also in the Mega Man world, I would then jump to probably Mega Man X. Because that's like, takes the culmination of everything that they did on the NES and then transfer it to a different story entirely. A different Mega Man. Jump into the future and then, kind of takes it to the next level. I play a lot of sports games on consoles. I haven't played a sports game in a while, but hey, I played lots of hockey, of course. I'm in Canada. All those hockey games are really fun. Lots of nights playing Blades of Steel, of all games. I feel like even if you're not a hockey fan, you've played Blades of Steel. It was that kind of game. But yeah, you definitely have to have some patience and enjoy adventure games, but now you know which one to jump into if you ever want to take the plunge. Okay, we can do this. What is this? Scan lines. So we'll change the overlay to the one that I haven't brought over yet. Let's take a look. Images, themes. There we are. Okay, so theme, Nintendo Game Boy Advance. What do you got for me? Got the overlay and the logo, and we cannot forget if any icons are coming with it. They are not. I don't need any of those. Okay, so I think we're good. With just the 2 pictures, we can recreate this whole thing. The first picture is, I'm just going to rename this to logo because it says Nintendo Switch. Game Boy Advance logo. There you are. Perfect. Jump down to the bottom. Overlay. Game Boy Advance. View. Look at that. All of a sudden it's a different system. Do a test. Actually, that looks perfect. Oh no. That was an odd choice that I did there. Okay. Willie, LaunchBox is RetroFi 2.0. Oh, they each have their place. But LaunchBox is the premium type of product, I would say. And 100% more flexible and customizable. And Edward, you loved ice hockey on NES. I love that too as well. But Blades did have fighting. That's right. We all looked forward to us fighting each other. Okay, so I think we do need to move the ESRB. And that's fine. I should be able to click it, no? No, I've got something over it now. I've got these things over it. So I will move it with the shift key and then the cursor arrows. So I can position it exactly where I need it to go. About there. And then push it up. Push it up. Perfect. There we go. So that'll change with the game. Logo still up there. Everything still looks good. This guy will probably need to be moved a little bit. So let's find the star rating and we'll just use the same cursor to go up. Looks great. I mean, this stuff down here is still good, and I like the fact that it's going to be the same for every single system, so I don't have to move that. And now we're back to the wheel. Let's take a look. So we'll do the same thing. We'll jump out of this one. We'll jump into... Interesting that I've got two of the same things. We will jump into the views here. Game Boy Advance. Let's take a look at what kind of fonts we've got. Return of Ganon. That sounds like a font that fits perfectly for this. And is the first one I don't actually have. Okay. How did I do it here? So I've got it the old-fashioned way. Means, excuse me while I find this font. Shouldn't take too long. There it is. There we go. Let's do an install. Okay, we got that out of the way, and now let's do, before I restart the program to get that to take effect, I will instead take a look at all of the properties that I've got here. First thing that I want to do is start with this base. Boy Advance. So we'll start there. I feel like I removed that. Oh, look at that. I removed it and found out I actually need it. Okay, we'll take the control template like I had before. It looks like they're just some color swaps. Nothing fancy in this one. Control template to control template. And we should be getting there. Let's just take a look at the normal font here. Okay, so definitely there was some opacity going on here. And I might just do something like this. I'll make it smaller or I'll make it bigger. I'll probably make it bigger. Oh, actually, maybe I'll just not make it anything, and I'll just change it up here. There we go. Give it some space. There you go. Perfect. All right, I think another one done. Edward says, CoinOps and RetroPie are nice, but I prefer LaunchBox. So much more user-friendly. I mean, personally, it is like the most customizable LaunchBox, right? It's the most flexible. You can get your it is user-friendly, and it's the only one that really gives you the power to be your own library management person, to build your library the way that you want without having to dive into like crazy amount of code or relying on other people to do it for you. That is right. Thank you, Sean. That's going to require me to restart, so just going to jump on that for a second here. All right, let's dive back into the advance. It almost fit, didn't it? This font's going to look much smaller, isn't it? There we go. 1, 2. Okay, let's make it a tiny bit bigger then. 36. There we go. Okay, looking good, looking good. I think we will end that. Okay, so that's 3 down. That, I think, is all of the Nintendo classic Game Boys from the 90s / early 2000s. However, there is one that we're missing, isn't there? Isn't there? Which one could that be? It is the Virtual Boy. Let's do the Virtual Boy one, which was probably the most fun one that I ended up doing. And will probably take a little bit to remember how I did it. Okay, so we're taking these guys here. Oh man. Trying to remember if I had anything else specific. I don't think so. And might as well use this as a starting off point. Let's jump into the world of Virtual Boy. Okay, so, and Don can, as we are on handhelds. Could you do a show and tell on the battery widget, please? All right, so there is a battery widget, sort of like an element that you can use. And it essentially just looks at your... I did, didn't I, somewhere? There it is. Good catch. Good catch, Nani. So now I'm going to have to link to that. Oh, we'll get that up and running. There you go. The background's still black. However, star rating is going to use... That's where this comes in. It's also going to be bigger. And so this actually makes more sense. Let's go down here and do the overlay first. There we go. And of course we were talking about Wario Land on the Virtual Boy. There you go. Let's look at the clear logo. So the clear logo should come out to about here. Go to about here. And why am I thinking that this is a problem? I mean, it's doing what it needs to do. And so Don McSween, for sure. So the battery control, or the battery element, and let me just double check where it is. Here it is. Battery percent, battery indicator. I believe percentage is text. Could be wrong. Yeah, it's the text. So you can sit here and you can give it a text size and stuff. And what both of these will do is it will read if you're on a laptop or a handheld device, and it'll actually take from Windows those values. And this one will provide you with the number, percentage number of what you have. So you can battery percentage, you just go down here and pick a color. Now you're not going to see anything here because I'm on a desktop and I don't have those values for it to pull. The more interesting one is battery indicator, which essentially does the same thing, but pulls the numbers out and binds them to images. So in this case, you could have 10 layers, 5 layers, 4, and these are the bars on the actual indicator. The problem is you have to create your own images. So you just choose, okay, choose this folder where all of my battery images are, and each image is going to have to, and I don't know, Dave, if you're here, but he had some themes where he created those battery images, and you can see like a test of what those images should look like. Now I just can't remember if it was part of his, like which theme it was part of his. But I know he does have one, and we'll find out. And I'm pretty sure that the images just have to relate to the like number, percentage number. So if there's 10, then that would mean that you've got, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, like that's what you would name your images. And each image would just be representative. One of Rincewind themes used. That's great. He's got so many themes. I don't know which one. And that's what it is, Don. So like this image, if you have those images, it will show an indication. And it doesn't matter how they look, right? You can make them look anything that you want. But if you have like one that's like 10, like 10.png, that will show 10%. And 20 would show 20%, and 30 will show 30%. And you just got to create the graphic that kind of represents that number. And Mute Studios, what theme we're working on today? This is CoverBox. You're correct, yeah. So we've gone through 3 handhelds: the Game Boy Color, and the Game Boy Advance. And now we're finishing off here with the Virtual Boy. Interesting that I have this here. That's kind of odd. But that's what I did back in the day. What does that mean, though? It means I'm going to have to be very specific to the size of this, aren't I? And the position. All right, let's do it. Gotta be bigger. Okay, so one thing that you can do to make it bigger, where is it here? And I feel like it's still in, right, Dave? Is you hold Control, and then if you press it down on the cursor, it will grow it by 0.1 each click, and you can hold it. I can see myself making it bigger. Does that look almost right? Not too bad. I think it's a little bit too big now. Think of battery for the Steam Deck. So the Steam Deck, I mean, if you install Windows on it, then for sure this will be what you want to do. If you install I guess that would be the only thing that you can do at the beginning, isn't it? You install Windows on it, see how it functions, or any of the other systems that are out that have handheld windows on it. Or if you put it on a laptop. Then it would definitely be useful. Something about that. That's why I probably shouldn't have done that. Let's move that over just a tad. Okay, it's looking a bit better now. Okay, so now that's there. We've got the clear logo up there. And here we've got something that's a little kind of crazy. So let's deal with the wheel, because essentially what I did was I took the, I mean, this is essentially what we have to make it look like. How about that? We're gonna have to make the wheel look like this. Now looking at it, I think I have an idea. That might make more sense than what I was going to do. But it's going to require that the wheel go here. And I'm going to put it all in a stack, I think. Yes, looks like stack is going to work. And that stack is going to be positioned basically the whole top here, all the way to the bottom. Input the space that I need. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So then we put that in there. We'll put the wheel in that next. And then we'll put the frame in there. Okay. So far, so good. The wheel itself, we'll make it larger. And we're going to copy over the Virtual Boy styling. At least most of it. So Unibody 8 Pro Regular is the font that I was using, so I do have that. There we go. Looks like the size is also pretty good there. The second part is, what color do I have here? It's probably like a dark red, I hope. I hope that's how I did it. Yep, good. And then the third part, which is creating the Nintendo Virtual Boy UI. Okay, so there's our starting point. And now we're going to see what we got. I'm pretty sure this is pretty basic. So we don't have an effect there. We don't have, then let's just copy the controls here. So this is basically saying if mouse over, do this color, if mouse over, do this, all with the foreground, the color of the text itself. So if selected, do this. If selected and you've activated it, do the same thing. Okay, so that'll give me the brighter red. And you can see here I've already did the coloring and the kind of textured look on this version of the star rating. So I'm good there. So now I do need to put some margin spacing between these guys. And I'll do the same sort of 50 here. Okay, so now the reason why I did that is because it should be simple enough. Star rating. You might want a little bit there too. Bring down that a bit too. Or it should be simple enough to take this stack and skew it. God, please skew properly. Do I need to do this? I might need to do that. No, that's the wrong one. Why? And it's still skewing in the middle, which is odd. You can see I'm doing it way too much. 15 is even too much, maybe 10. There we go. Okay. Okay. Even that looks too much. Okay, I must have skewed it like 7? And Don, yeah, thanks for stopping by. Not sure if you're still around, but yeah. Glad to see you this Friday. And Dave, you said this uses the battery indicator. That's right, this one. And Don, you were saying that you will install Windows on it. And strictly for no ads. Do I have the lock on? I do, that's why I won't move. Okay, so now we have the skew to make it look like it's sort of fake 3D, and I'm gonna push it up a little bit. And do the positioning fine-tuning with my keyboard. And now we're dealing with the bottom items here. Okay. So unfortunately, we've got to go through each one individually, but that's fine. The frame itself needs a foreground color. Too bright, too bright. So I might just actually do this. And let me see what the picture looks like. Okay. So it's got that color. Okay. Cool. So now I just copy the colors. Which will be the next step. Okay, and then the final step, which was switch to that font, and then we might have to change the font size a bit because of it. a little bit, a lot. And I might refine it more. See, I like that size, actually, quite a bit. Excuse me while I do that, and by the end of it, we should have a pretty sweet looking Virtual Boy theme. I hope that there is... Okay, cool. It's got that symbol in its font library, or whatever they call it. Almost done. See, and because I've already done all like the vertical alignment and all that stuff, it just sort of aligned itself properly, and I didn't really have to worry about anything. Look at that. Virtual Boy is done. Of course, there's one thing that I want to do, and that's just take this frame and we'll just make it wider, just in case. Yeah, perfect. So everything's scaled with it, and it gives us some breathing room for those long developer titles. But oh my god, what did we do? We did Game Boy, and then let's recap. We went for the Game Boy and we accomplished that. So that's one. Then we went to the Game Boy Color and we accomplished that. That's two. Then we jumped to the Game Boy Advance and we accomplished that. That's three. And then we jumped from the Game Boy Advance and we went to the Virtual Boy. And that was that. We did it. No, so yeah, that was really cool. The fact that we managed to get 4 done this time. And still have a tiny bit of time, but basically that really only leaves how many handhelds left for Nintendo? It's just Nintendo DS and the 3DS, which are supported by CoverBox, and I will have to do that at some point. Let's just remind myself what those actually look like, because I did them later on in this theme. Wow, there's just so many. Here they are. So here's the Nintendo DS. It took me a while to think of like, how am I gonna do videos that are supposed to be really, really vertical? I'm like, oh, I'll just put a background and then put the video in the middle like it's part of its box, and it worked out actually great. And then you can see here that it's actually using the screens, which is cool. And then over here, 3DS, a little more refined, a little more modern fonts, but man, this menu actually works, which is awesome. And by works, it means like goes through the text list. And then you've got the second screen being used for metadata, and then you've got the same sort of thing here, which is pretty awesome. So those are the last two that needs to be done. And then I think we're done Nintendo handhelds, and I can move on to something else like Sega, which is exciting because we've got features, theming features in here in place that we can use to bring back some of the old Zelda stuff that I had to pull out because I couldn't figure out how to do like different animation on the game details page, for example. Like this, I kept this picture in, which kind of looks cool because I always wanted to see the box here. I had to get rid of that. But yeah, I mean, we're getting there. We're like 10% in to this conversion, so I'm hoping I'll have time. I can just do it. I can do some of them not on this stream, just so I can like click in the process here, get this done, get it out, and then be able to move on and like continue development, and then people can request different consoles that are not supported. I know someone requested PlayStation 3 recently, and man, like I haven't looked at a PlayStation 3 box in a very long time. And so I'll have to just keep sort of going, and 40 platforms is going to be a lot, but we'll tackle the Nintendos, then we'll tackle the Segas, then we'll tackle the Sonys, and then we'll get into the Ataris, and then do all the other ones like ColecoVision and Television. Say TurboGrafx 16, which was an awesome looking thing. I can't take credit for this one. Someone designed it and said, "Hey, you want to add this?" And I said, "For sure." The SNK themes are done here. Oh dang, I forgot about Pokemon Mini. So that one is is there, and ended up turning out pretty good. And then the Sega, or the Nintendo, like the Famicom disc system, which was like sitting there thinking, how the heck am I gonna do this one? And then found this. Yeah, there's a lot to go, but we will get there. We will get there, and by the end we'll have everything up to like even this PSP one, which is was a pretty cool one to do, if I remember correctly. So yeah, thank you so much. The last thing I'll say for everybody that's stuck around all this time is that next week and the week after, there will not be a theme workshop, and that's just simply because I will be away on vacation. So because of that, and hopefully I'll have time to at least create some sort of like video like this where it's just me, and I can maybe cover some topics, and then I can release them on the Fridays for people to watch. Won't be as long as these, but that's the plan anyway. To get something out, I'll try to think of maybe 2 different topics that I can cover, and schedule them so that they come out for the 2 Fridays that I'll be gone. So at least you'll have something to watch, and something that hopefully you can learn off of them in the future, and they can be videos that people can watch down the line. But until then, yeah, have a great next couple weeks, guys. And thanks. Yeah, vacation will definitely be a good time. CBs, you've been here 2 years and you can't get out of the basement. That's because we keep the key away from you. You got to learn where that is. All right, everybody. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you guys in a few weeks.